You are listening to Zimbabwe News. Keep listening to Zimbabwe News.
I can hear you folks perfectly, and I think let's get ready to start like now. Yeah?
But Simba, we need to first make sure that it's working before we can start.
We're perfect. We're perfect now. We're perfect. We're perfect. We're perfect now.
How
Okay.
No, Justin.
We're good to go now, folks.
Just,
And I'm going to be coming on video shortly. Yeah, just hold on. Yes, we are straight on. Our viewers, witnesses, good evening to you. Join us live here on Zimai.com. Diasporans, all of them voting this coming election, 2023, the election that is before us, less than 1.5 years. And our viewers, witnesses, today there is this initiative that our respected king, I'll call him king, by the way, the Rhodesians call him chief, which is inappropriate, but he is our king. King Diweni is leading this effort. If you're coming in right now, do let us know where you're logging in from. Just type in the comment box right there. And we are starting straight away here. And just beginning with salutations and greetings to King Diweni here joining us tonight. Right, King Diweni, good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm going to need you to train me, and these folks can train me here to make the proper traditional salutations, because I've lived for too long in the UK and I've become polluted or anglicized too much.
The appropriate greetings and salutations, basically anyone can Google them on the Google and find them out. But what you'll be doing is you'll be following my lineage of who I am, because to say Chief Ndweni, you haven't really started. So if I could give you a little assistance, you'll be saying Mdladla, Enjola, Ebhlaswendlinkulu, Umdladla odla amandla akhe, uhlahle olamaphikela, lodunga kandaba, imputhi yamahlathi, izizwe lezizwane, and I could carry on for a long time.
Wow.
But you'll be following my lineage so that you'll be saying to the people, I know this man.
Yeah.
I know his father, I know his grandfather, his great-great-grandfather, his great-great-father, 5 generations back. That is how you do it.
Wow. I'm looking forward to that day when we actually do the proper thing. And we've got that man who runs around. What's that person called, by the way? The one who runs around screaming.
That's the Imbongi. Imbongi is the one. Imbongi is the one who will be saying all these words, and all of these words there come in, and they will state exactly, as I was saying, who I am, but also they will say some of the deeds that I have done or my great ancestors have done, like Umdladla odla amandla akhe, that is Undweni, who eats his own strength. That is, he's a man, he's a loner, he's a maverick,
right.
He's untenable, in short.
Wow. No. Mambo. Is this tinobva kumationalist atinongoti mambo. Tinokutenda imanheru nekusvika pano kana kuti tinokutunza padare renyu. And yeah, we're joined by your great team here, the committee, and who are part of this initiative, My Right to Vote. And if you're coming in right now, let us know where you're logging in from, and we'll be reading your comments. I believe today you will have an opportunity also to ask our king here. Don't call him chief. If you call him chief, you'll be banned from this forum. Okay. Right, folks. Here, when I went through, the whole initiative of what My Right to Vote is here, what I could obtain from there was, look, it's very clear. This is about the bringing in of our millions of citizens so they can participate in the upcoming elections as a nation. And today, I'm going to ask you to explain to us, introduce yourselves to us. We want to know about this. And I'm sure people here who tuned in want to hear what is new here with my right to vote. So we're going to hand over here to Adrian Lunga, who is the secretary of this organization, just to give us an intro, and then we can have the committee also introduce themselves. Give you 2 minutes, folks, to introduce yourselves. And you leaders, take us in, please.
Good evening, listeners and viewers. My name is Adrian Lunga, the secretary of My Right to Vote, as Mr. Simba said just now. Thank you for the introduction, Mr. Simba. That was quite an introduction, and we are glad to be on your platform, and we thank you for giving us this platform. My Right to Vote is a non-partisan organization that is campaigning for the right of every Zimbabwean to have that sacred right of voting, regardless of where they are, regardless of who they are. But if they are Zimbabweans and they are of age and they qualify, they should have the right to vote. And here we've got the management committee that I'd like to introduce, starting with our treasurer, Mr. Mvubu, Ms. Mvubu, who can introduce himself, please. Mr. Mvubu, please.
Thank you. My name is Mr. Mvubu, and I am abroad to put their hands in their pockets and actually make this in their thousands. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mvubu. And in charge of mobilization, we've got Mr. Arnold Bebe. Mr. Bebe, over to you.
Thank you, Secretary. Thanks a lot. I'm Arnold Bebe, and I'm based in Edinburgh at the moment. My remit is to globally mobilize our fellow diasporans into the organization. In my capacity as the chairman of the subcommittee that reports to this management committee, I have put together with other colleagues out in South Africa, Botswana, and Namibia some structures to help drive our agenda. We are now focusing on Australia, Canada, New Zealand, America, and other places, wherever our fellow diasporans are. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bebe. And we've got a deputy chairman, Mr. Njunja Mpogo.
Yeah, good evening, folks. Good evening indeed. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and thank you, Simba, for setting it up this way, because really this is going to be a vehicle that we're going to depend on to spread the word of my right to vote. When I was invited to the chief's homestead in England, obviously it's not the true homestead in Ndabazinduna. The thing that struck me most was the fact that here was an idea of uniting all Zimbabwean people in this country, because we all are in the same boat. We all talk about sending money to our families. We talk about how life is hard in Zimbabwe. So to me, this was it's the best thing that to me ever really happened, that if we could assemble ourselves and obviously seek to talk to the Zimbabwean government that, look, we are Zimbabweans, we are one, and you as a government, and our help to the country, to our folks
about and what we intend to do. Really, having worked greatly in Zimbabwe and here abroad and going back there soon sometime, the biggest thing I know is that my fellow brothers and sisters in Zimbabwe and in the diaspora with regard to the crisis that's there. So my appeal to them before we go into our discourse is that have hope, have faith, because at the end of the day, it is only us that can try and do this thing and resolve this thing. To walk away or to put our heads in the sand will not make the problem go away. So at some point in time, we have to lift our heads up and re-engage and seek a way forward of how to do it. So we must never tire of that. No matter how tired we feel, we must never tire. And we must follow the course through. Thank you, Babalonga.
Thank you, Mr. Ndirani. As we actually started on this with the summary introductions, My Right to Vote is not a political party. We are not affiliated with any political party. Our goals are very clear. We've got to be the representative voice of the Zimbabweans in the diaspora. We've got to compile a membership that makes sure that they are represented at the Zimbabwean discussion table. Whenever anything is discussed about Zimbabwe, the diaspora needs to be at that table. And our organization will be that voice. We want to make sure that this is an inclusive organization. And that is why we open our platform. We use all the platform to get questions with the answer. We use every platform to engage with other Zimbabweans, not only in the diaspora, but also Zimbabweans in Zimbabwe, because there are disenfranchised Zimbabweans in Zimbabwe. What we aim to do for the Zimbabwean diaspora and what we've started getting the wheels rolling on is getting Zimbabweans in the diaspora registered so that they get an opportunity to vote at every election in Zimbabwe. Whether that voting is administered by a Zimbabwean institution is neither here nor there. The key thing that we are going to ensure is that any vote for the diaspora is free, transparent, and fair, and is going to be credible by any global standards of an election. That is what we are going to do, and that is what we commit to doing. And all this is going to lead to a roadmap where we're going to have a transitional authority in Zimbabwe, which is going to form the foundation of a democratic, free, representative Zimbabwe that fulfills the goals of those who folks gave up their lives in the liberation struggle for what they called one human, one vote. It has not come to pass because when you consider the number of Zimbabweans that are in the diaspora who are not allowed to vote at the moment, that is a catastrophe. It means that their lives and their sacrifices were all in vain. Join us to make sure that we have an inclusive organization that gives the Zimbabweans in the diaspora who are being taxed through remittances, but without a representation, which is a catastrophe. So this is a platform to right that wrong. And we invite all Zimbabweans to use these platforms that we open and we engage on to ask any questions and to help us sharpen the axe so that when we start building the foundation will last for generations to come. So I would like to hand over to our chairman, Mr. Nduweni, to give us a summary background of where we are and how we've gotten to where we are. Mr. Nduweni, please.
Thank you very much, Babalonga. Thank you very much indeed. Our road has been a very speedy road indeed. We came together as an organization on the 12th of September last year. And since that time, we've been grappling with a great number of issues of how to come in as an organization. Our first challenge, obviously, was to make ourselves legal, because we're dealing with legalities here. We're dealing with people's personal information. When you open a voter's roll, the person in charge of the voter's roll must be a legal entity and must have oversight upon that person. So we had to start on that footing. And hence, we are registered here in the United Kingdom as a CIC, that's a community interest company. It has oversight from Companies House here in the United Kingdom so that we are bona fide, so that anyone can check into us, can see that we're doing the right things. And also our paperwork must be beyond reproach, so that whatever we do, whether we are doing the voter registration, whether we are facilitating that election, any of our processes must be beyond reproach. Hence that legal oversight. In addition to that, obviously, the mundane matters of opening bank accounts and those modalities. And also in addition to that, because we're doing something new, it was a challenge for us to say, how do we canvass the Zimbabwean diaspora that's scattered to the four corners of the world? What system do we use? How do we come together? How do we register? How do we facilitate the vote? All those things. And so we have gradually made our way towards the current juncture, whereby we have systems in place. We have teams, as Pepe was saying, across the globe. So we are making headway in preparation for the serious matter of the vote, of how it is we can pull Zimbabweans together. As Lunga has said, I too will reiterate that we are non-political partisan organization. My Right to Vote is too big an organization for party politics. We are far too big for that. We are bringing in all people, irrespective of whether you are MDC, Zanu-PF, MRRP, whoever you are. You have access to My Right to Vote, and it is not an either-or question. We're not asking for anyone to leave their party. We are saying, please continue in your parties, but also register with My Right to Vote. Because it is My Right to Vote that will bring a leveling effect to Zimbabwean politics, whereby us, I'm saying that again, 53,000 people, and yet it has a seat in the United Nations Security Council. We Zimbabwean diasporas are in excess of 5, 6, 7 million. We don't. We look at another example, Luxembourg, an old country with a huge history, going back 500, 600, 700 years. Its population is 625,000. It has a seat in the United Nations. It is there with the movers and shakers. It's not even in a million, and yet we are way above that. If you look at Cyprus, it has a population of 1,271,000. It has a seat in the UN. It helps make decisions, whether we like it or not in Zimbabwe. Those decisions we will have to follow because they come from the UN. And yet Cyprus is a tiny, tiny population compared to the Zim diaspora. We look at our beloved neighbor, Botswana. It has a seat in the UN. Its population is 2,351,000. Zimbabwean diaspora, far greater than that. And yet we don't have a voice. Now, out of these countries and dependent territories, they number some 121, who we as the Zimbabwean diaspora are bigger than them in population size. I'll just quickly scan through some countries so that it gives you an idea of when we say Zimbabwean diaspora, you must understand that we are a nation. We are a multitude. The Zimbabwean diaspora is bigger than the whole population. We are stuck. All our conversation revolves around the internal system that we have in the country. For us, as My Right to Vote, we are saying, let us look outside of the country. Because outside of the country, there are levers and pulleys. They were all designed to help a country just like us, that is stuck just like us. Those levers and pulleys, you'll find them in SADC, You'll find them in the other regional bodies in Africa, ECOWAS and Eastern African Community and other ones. You'll find them in the European Union. You'll find them in the regional bodies of South America and the regional bodies of North America. You'll find them in the EC. You'll find them in the United Nations. These levers and pulleys are designed to assist, to help a nation that is in difficulty, just like us. The problem is, for us Zimbabweans, in 41 years, we have not reached out for those levers and pulleys. Yes, our current government has tried to re-engage with the international arena, but that re-engagement process was mainly to look for funds. When we talk about reaching for those pulleys and levers, it is about democracy. It is about rule of law. It is about the right to vote. It is not conceivable, it is not possible that we can look at a future where over 50% of the qualified voters in Zimbabwe have not had a say in which way the country goes. That is what we're talking about, that we must have a say in wherever or whichever direction the country is going. And so those levers and pullers that I was talking about earlier on are exactly the thing my right to vote is heading for. We did say initially in the summary that Ubaba Lunga gave that when we talk about the roadmap for Zimbabwe, that roadmap leads to a transitional government. But to get to that transitional government, there will be no seniority in that line. In addition to that, what also comes in is that there is no political party or organization who can stop the process, who can say, well, okay, I'll hold the process to ransom. That doesn't exist. This is not something new. It happened in 1980 in the transformation from Rhodesia to Zimbabwe. That was a process that was implied. It happened again when apartheid ended and the new South African came in. That occurred at that particular time. These are tried and tested. If you are interested, Google it and you'll see over 100 transitional governments and how they are formed and how they function in that light. So that is the background for my right to vote. We are definitely not just an NGO who's looking to get money to do this. We have a roadmap. We know where we are going and we know how to go. That's most important. We know how to get there. Over to you, Babalola. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ndweni. There are things that we need to emphasize here. The questions that were raised, the comments that were raised, is that we are looking towards getting Zimbabweans to get around the table and map out a future for Zimbabwe. Some people with human resources in Zimbabwe or around the globe. The truth is that we do have those resources. If those who have traveled all over the world have seen and met Zimbabweans of different capabilities at the highest levels of in the corporate world, in governance, who are qualified to birth a new Zimbabwe in terms of foundation for a future. So we have the human resources, and the question that is added to that is that all those people that are in the diaspora who are working, thinking about Zimbabwe, contributing to Zimbabwe via remittances, should they be taxed by remittances without representation? That has to end. It cannot be emphasized enough. We need to end that now. And it's up to every Zimbabwean, whether at home or in the diaspora, to take part in that. Because we cannot outsource our own